Time magazine. So remember Time magazine, if you're above 40 years old, was the dominant news magazine in America at one time. Circulation above 4 million, okay? And it was a weekly. I had a subscription to it. It was good. It was good. They did a good job, okay? Now the circulation is down to 1.3 million, and they only publish twice monthly, not weekly. And most of that 1.3 is online. You cannot buy Time magazine on a newsstand. You got to subscribe to it. All right. So in addition to that, it's not owned by Time Warner anymore. It's owned by Salesforce Inc. This is unbelievable. Salesforce Inc. is an American cloud-based software company based in San Francisco. They know nothing about journalism. Nothing. Okay. So they put Kamala Harris on the cover of the latest Time magazine. It's a little bit like Joan of Arc, right? And they write a puff piece article about her. Now, she insulted Time magazine because they asked her for an interview, and she said, I'm not going to give you an interview. They get a puff piece anyway. Quote, suddenly, she seems matched to the moment. A former prosecutor running against a convicted felon, a defender of abortion rights running as a man who helped overturn Roe v. Wade, a next-generation Democrat running against a 78-year-old Republican. Perhaps above all, she has given Americans one thing they overwhelmingly told pollsters they wanted: a credible alternative to two unpopular old men who have held the job in the past 8 long years, unquote. That sounds like a real objective assessment, right? The woman who wrote it, and this is another great story, is named Charlotte Alter. Hey, Charlotte. Okay. Who is she? She's the daughter of the notorious Jonathan Alter. Remember that name? This is a far-left loon who worked for Newsweek magazine, who embraces every single liberal tenet there is with no dissent, ever. Charlotte is his daughter, and she's writing a piece on Kamala Harris. You know, you would get more honest coverage from Mad Magazine than Time Magazine. Nobody knows any of this. They don't know who's running Time magazine. They don't know who Charlotte Alter is. It's just propaganda after propaganda after propaganda. All right. Next Monday, the DNC convention opens in Chicago. All right. And it's at McCormick Place Convention Center on the west side of the city. And Monday, Joe Biden will speak. Why on Monday? Because they want him gone. So the first night, Joe's going to talk about his legacy, which maybe that's 10 minutes if he can read the prompter. I don't know, but he's out. And then they go in. Now they have not, it's very unusual, have not released, the DNC, a schedule of speakers for the week. We know Kamala Harris will be Thursday night, the keynote. But no, we don't know. The only guy we know is Jason Carter, who's Jimmy Carter's grandson. He's going to talk about his father's legacy. Here's the problem. Tens of thousands of very obnoxious protesters, some of them violent, are going to be at the DNC, according to the Wall Street Journal. That's not my estimate. Okay, Journal's pretty good, pretty accurate. Tens of thousands. This is what happened in 1968 with the anti-war movement in Chicago at the DNC convention. And now all hell broke loose. Remember the Chicago 7, the tear gas, the military, all of that. This is going to be a big story, I think, because these people aren't going to Chicago to protest peacefully. They're not. Joining us now from Irvine, California, Heather McDonald from the Manhattan Institute, who recently wrote a piece about Chicago. And I don't think, Heather, the police there in any way, shape, or form are capable of handling these kinds of demonstrations. Am I wrong?
Well, you're absolutely right, Bill. It's not that they're not capable, but they won't be allowed to handle them because now cops are operating under a very, very different environment than in the 60s. The 60s won, the forces of law and order lost, and now cops are worried all the time about being caught on video camera using force. It can be lawful force, but the public thinks anytime a police officer uses force, it must be unlawful and most often racist, even if it's a white journalist that's being restrained or a white rioter. So we'll see. I mean, I'm going to be very honest. I am hoping that the pro-Hamas hysterics are feeling particularly disruptive. And if the public and in particular Democratic Jews didn't really understand what the world looks like today throughout the year we've had of pro-Hamas hysteria on college campuses, if Democratic Jews don't understand that their intersectional allies hate them, whether it's blacks or Muslims or queers, that they all are for dismembering Israel, maybe a big conflagration at the DNC will finally drive that point home.
See, I disagree with you. I don't want any violence there, and I don't want any chaos there. A peaceful demonstration would be okay with me, but I don't want anybody getting hurt, and the cops are going to get hurt. So the Chicago cops, and they're undermanned by about 20-25% now, they're going to get hurt. These people will hurt them, these protesters. And you're absolutely right. The rules of engagement are that they can't stop violent protests. They can't, by law, by Chicago law. They can't even chase them. So if a protester came up to you and threw a brick in your face, and the cops will have shields, but you can get hurt, you can't chase that person and arrest them in Chicago because this is a progressive city and state. Now, it'll be interesting to see if the far left governor, Pritzker, who Kamala was actually even considering as VP, okay, will call out the National Guard because everybody on earth knows the Chicago PD is not going to be able to control these people. Do you think he will?
He might, because these will not be officially race riots. You know, what we saw in Minneapolis with the George Floyd race riots is that Governor Tim Walz fatally hesitated after the mayor, Jacob Fry, had asked him to call out the National Guard. And Governor Walz, by his own admission, was grappling with the issue that, well, how do we restore order with the very forces of order that oppress Black people so much and are leading to this rioting?
It was all a bunch of gobbledygook. The guy waited for 2.5 days before he got that situation under control. People died, 500 million in damages just in Minneapolis. I mean, it was insane. But here's the problem for Kamala Harris. Let's make it personal. So she's coming into Chicago, and by the time she gets there, because she won't be there, like Trump stayed the whole week, she's not going to do that. We'll know the violent level of the situation. That'll be clearly established in the eyes of the world. So Harris is going to have to come in. If she condemns that, she's condemning the progressive wing of her party because they're behind all this stuff. All right. If she says nothing, she looks very, very weak. So that's a big dilemma for her.
Well, I think I think she would condemn it. I mean, she did cave into the progressive wing by not choosing Josh Shapiro because he was both pro-Israel and Jewish. That he was clearly the preferable pick, would have done much better on the electoral map than Walz, and is much more moderate. But I don't think she would hesitate to condemn violence. That's a pretty easy decision.
But here's the tell on it. So Biden can order the National Guard in there anytime he wants. He doesn't have to wait for Pritzker. He can just send them on in. Okay? And then, of course, Harris is going to be tied into what Biden does. So the Guard goes in there, and the Guard that's going to be trouble. That's going to be echoes of 1968. So there is the potential to throw this whole convention into unbelievable chaos. And there's one more factor. These jihadist terrorists overseas know this. And that's why this provocation stuff is swirling around. It might be, and I hate to speculate, and I'm not speculating, I'm just raising the possibility. Boom, boom. There'll be something overseas that happens in conjunction with the Democratic convention in Chicago.
Yeah, I don't think that's completely insane. The thing is, these American protesters are total idiots. If they were smart, they would not be violent. They would be respectful. They would protest, in a completely inoffensive manner.
But they're nihilists.
But they're not.
They're anarchists. They're using the Hamas thing. They want to tear it all down. That's what they want. These people don't care about the Palestinians. They don't even know what it is. They just want to break it. Okay?
Well, yeah.
And people would say, well, why didn't you do that at the Republican convention? Because Republicans are to the progressive left. We're so much more evil than Democrats are so sympathetic to you. Why are you doing it to us? And I don't really have an answer to that question.
That's interesting. I mean, I agree with you. I would be a little more precise. It's not just they want to tear anything down. They want to tear down Western civilization because they see it as too white and too male. But I guess they feel like maybe it's right now you have the Democrats in power. And so if you want to change America's policy on the Middle East, which is already, as far as I'm concerned, Biden has been far too accommodating towards the Hamas terrorists. You would go after them, not the Republicans, because they're.
I don't know if Heather. I don't know if there's a lot of logic in these precincts. They just want to cause trouble and hurt people, and I think they will next week. We always appreciate talking to you, Heather. Enjoy it out there in California, and we'll talk to you soon, I hope. Have you ever been buried in debt, piles of overdue bills, threatening phone calls, and it just won't stop? Done with Debt is your way out. They have developed aggressive new strategies to end your debt permanently. Done with Debt tirelessly negotiates with your creditors to lower or even forgive what you owe. And they do it all without bankruptcy or new loans. Done with Debt has unique strategies to get you out of debt faster. But you need to hurry because some debt solutions are time sensitive. Visit donewithdebt.com and talk with one of their debt relief strategists for free. You have nothing to lose except your debt. Go to donewithdebt.com, donewithdebt.com. Interesting story. Stolen valor, which is a concept when a person doesn't tell the truth about their military service to advance themselves, either make money or get power. It's called stolen valor. Senator Blumenthal in Connecticut did it. Said he was a Vietnam vet and all this other business, and total bull. Voters in Connecticut didn't care. They reelected him. Blumenthal got away with it. All right, now we got Walz. So Walz, he was in the National Guard for a long time. He signed up at 17 years old. And he didn't go to Iraq with his unit. The furthest he got to a war zone was Italy. Okay? So he's campaigning for governor in 2018. Here's what he says. Roll.
And I'll tell you what I have been doing. I've been voting for common sense legislation that protects the Second Amendment, but we can do background checks. We can do CDC research. We can make sure we don't have reciprocal carry among states, and we can make sure that those weapons of war that I carried in war is the only place where those weapons are at.
All right, so weapons of war that I carried in war. Well, unless he was invading Tuscany, it was just a flat out untrue statement. So now the Harris campaign has to send out this quote, in making the case for why weapons of war should never be on our streets or in our classrooms, the governor misspoke. He did handle weapons of war and believed strongly that only military members trained to carry those deadly weapons should have access to them. Well, I've handled weapons of war, and I've never been in the military. But I handle every weapon in various times in my career. So what does that mean? He misspoke. He said, all right, he said okay, that I carried in war. So again, it's up to you. It's up to you. Do I think it's going to be a major campaign thing? No. It's embarrassing. Okay, Senator Vance. So as you know, we're trying to get him. I spent far too much time this weekend on this. I think we're going to get him. They told me that he's going to show next week here. Not easy. But on Sunday, he was on ABC, CNN, and CBS. Predictably, the liberal commentators, all three interviewers were liberal: Jonathan Karl, Margaret Brennan, Dana Bash. And all three of them are liberal. But that's what the corporate media is. So Vance goes on with CNN Bash, and here's what happens. Go.
Okay, you've now asked me 3 questions about comments that I made 3 years ago. I wonder what Kamala Harris thinks about the fact that she supported policies that open the American southern border. I wonder what Kamala Harris thinks about the fact that she lied to the American people about Joe Biden.
Okay, that was about the cat ladies. So Bash wouldn't get off the cat ladies. Is the cat lady thing important? No, not important. So Vance did a very smart thing. He called her right out, and she had nothing. I'm not in it. I'm interviewing you. I'm not interviewing Kamala. Anybody watching that interview got to go, you know, we got big problems. And you're spending most of the interview on cat ladies? This is what I'm talking about. This is corruption. And the people who run these news organizations, they could put an end to it like that. And to bolster my case, CNN told Ms. Bash, who you just saw, and Jake Tapper, you better be fair to Donald Trump. Okay? In the debate with Joe Biden. You better be fair. And they were. Because if they had not been, they would have gotten fired. Not hard to solve this problem. President Biden showed up on CBS yesterday. He doesn't want to tell the truth about what happened, but kind of hinted at it. Go.
A number of my Democratic colleagues in the House and Senate thought that I was going to hurt them in the races. And I was concerned if I stayed in the race, that would be the topic. You'd be interviewing me about why did Nancy Pelosi say, why did someone, and I thought it'd be a real distraction.
Nancy Pelosi. The queen of mean. They used to call Leona Helmsley that. She's the new queen of mean. So 2 weeks after the debate, here's what I said. Go. All right. So Pelosi, like Schumer, Senate Majority Leader, they know that Biden can't beat Trump. But they're waffling around. They don't say it. They will eventually. So I always know what's going on behind the scenes. And Biden knew too, but Biden thought that he and Jill could tough it out. All right. But then Barack Obama got involved. That was it. You've asked and MyPillow listened up. They're bringing you the most requested offer ever. The premium queen size MyPillow. Now only $19.98. It's made with patented adjustable fill to fit your exact individual needs. Regardless of your sleep position, it even helps keep your neck aligned and holds its shape all night long for the best sleep of your life. The sale even includes their 6-piece kitchen and bath towel sets, just $25 each. Their brand new mattress topper, as low as $69.98. And their famous MyPillow bed sheets for as low as $25 and a lot more. So please go to mypillow.com or call 800-869-0298. Use promo code BILL to get huge discounts on all MyPillow products, including the premium queen size MyPillow, only $19.98. That's the lowest price ever. Don't delay. Order today. By now, you have heard me talk about Delta Rescue. They are a fantastic organization that helps rescue animals from the wilderness. You know, I'm a dog lover, so is Leo Grillo, the founder of Delta Rescue. It is his life's mission to provide everlasting care for these once abandoned animals. I myself have donated to Delta Rescue. Do you believe it is part of man's duty to care for dogs and horses, the animals that so much of our history is tied to? If so, please consider making a donation or consult your advisor about leaving a gift in your will or trust. There can be some tax advantages, and it's a great way to help Delta Rescue accomplish their mission. So please visit deltarescue.org to learn more. That's deltarescue.org. Ukraine. Okay. There's a subset of viewers to the No Spin News and premium concierge members to BillO'Reilly.com who don't want any part of Ukraine. They don't think we should be there. They don't think anything like that. I respect that. I feel differently, and I've made a pretty strong case. So now we hear that the Ukrainian army has conquered, occupied, whatever word you want, about 400 miles of Russia itself, Russian territory. So the infantry of Ukraine kind of march across the border and say, okay, here we are. And according to them, and you got to take all of this skeptically, the Russian army broke and ran away. Possible, because they're not, the conscripts are taken out of prisons in Russia. I mean, they're not top of the line troops. So now Ukrainian soldiers are occupying a part of Russia. That's a fact. How much? We don't know. So this is another embarrassment for Putin, who's already lost, killed and wounded, about 500,000 in this insane invasion that gets him nowhere. Okay, nowhere. And so I believe Putin is now wants out. If Trump gets elected in November, there will be a deal, I say, within 2 weeks. Ceasefire. And then negotiation. You know what the game is. That's what I believe will happen. If Trump loses, it's going to be more complicated. Okay? Putin wants Trump to win because they have some kind of, I don't know what they have. You know, my conversation private with President Trump, I've asked him a number of times, what's with the Putin? He won't tell me. Some there, but I don't know what it is. I don't get it. Anyway, so Putin, another embarrassment. And there you go. Smart life. So we're looking out for you. And here's the pen right here. You got to get the pen and paper now, all right? Because I'm going to give you a good tip. It's going to save you some money. So one of the keys for your economic life is what you buy. Obviously, right? You have money and you have freedom to buy what you want. In other countries, you don't have that freedom. But here we do. Now, the most important thing that you buy for yourself and your family is food, because you have to have food. And food prices have rocketed under Biden. We all know that. Now, Kamala will blame Trump for that, but that's insane and a lie. Okay, so we have investigated how to cut down you spending money on food, clothing, other things that you have to have. And we went to a one poll report. So 71% of shoppers are now searching for bargains more than ever before. 71%. And they spend an hour a week online looking for coupons and comparing prices. But we're going to cut through that for you. There are two websites that you should go to that will help you be a savvy shopper. First one is Rakuten. Rakuten. R as in Robert, A-K-U-T-E-N. Okay? So they help you find coupons for what you need, what you want, and they compare prices in the various stores. So Walmart to Kmart to Home Depot, wherever it may be. Okay? And the other one is Honey, like the bee thing, Honey. and they do pretty much the same thing. Now, Sierra News is a source of this information, and we believe it's good information. So, Smart Life. You want to save money, significant money, you got to do research now. You just can't walk into the grocery store or the clothing store or the sneaker store or any of that. You can't. You've got to search, because a lot of these purchases are made online. You can buy all your food online. Was it Peapod and this kind of stuff? You can buy everything you want. They'll deliver it to your house. Don't even have to go to the store anymore. But you need to know what a fair price is. So once again, Rakuten and honey. Let me know if you guys check it out. Let me know if you like it or not, okay? Because I don't even know how to turn my computer on. How illiterate I am. Thank you for watching the No Spin News. To watch the full episode anytime on BillO'Reilly.com, please sign up to become a premium or concierge member. Visit BillO'Reilly.com to sign up and start watching today.